let's get started. So to kick things off, we have Amanda Haxton. Amanda's going to be sharing with us some exciting stuff that she saw this year in the e-commerce vertical for some of her clients. Take it away, Amanda.
Great. Hi, everyone. So I'm going to kick off today talking about an update that we saw this year and how that might start to impact us as well in 2020. So our first recap is that the diversity update could be a power play against major players. And this is looking at an update that we saw in the middle of this year, which really potentially limits the scope of some of the big e-commerce giants. We're talking people like Amazon, and gives some smaller sites a chance to rank for more informational queries. So what is the Google Diversity Update? Well, it rolled out on June 6th, and it was sort of overshadowed a little bit by the core algorithm update that rolled out around the same time. What it means is that for most search queries, Google will no longer show more than 2 results from the same domain in page 1 in particular. And that really allows users to see a much more diverse range of page 1 results from a different range of websites, potentially giving some of those smaller sites a greater chance to rank for competitive keywords. According to Google, this should include subdomains, but there are some caveats to that. And YouTube results seem to also be exempt. So that leaves videos as a strong opportunity. So who does it impact? Well, it's actually not that common to have more than 3 results, or more than 2 results, that is, showing in page 1. So really we're looking at only kind of that 1% of websites, the big giants, the big Amazons of the world, and those people who are really dominating search results. So it's definitely targeting some of those big players in industries such as e-commerce, travel, and real estate. And we've already seen Google steal back some space from some of these industries in recent years, particularly with Google-owned results, which Fiona is going to be talking about a little bit later in the webinar. Now, we know a few types of terms are exempt from the diversity update. So Google's not sacrificing relevance just for the sake of diversity. If you have a branded term, it's still going to be largely exempt. So in the previous example, we had we had rice cooker, and we had 2 results from Amazon, and then we had results from a variety of other retailers. Here on the right, if we do an Amazon rice cooker search, we still get predominantly Amazon results. So if we have a brand variation, you can still dominate page 1 for that. We also know that for branded results, subdomains are exempt, although they're not with non-brand results. And Google is definitely kind of picking and choosing how the diversity update is being applied, particularly by industry and website type. And more we're seeing Google updates really kind of impact different industries in a very different way and to various extents as well. With so much ambiguity here on, kind of how the diversity update has been implemented, I think there's definitely room for that to be further refined in 2020 or years to come. So to find out how much impact this was actually having, Search Metrics, which is the vendor that we partner with, has compared results for a set of keywords, comparing March 2019 with results from June 2019. And this study found that 3.5% of searches still contain 3 URLs from one domain, down from 6.7%. And that's largely on information-seeking queries or those branded results. So you can see that there's still definitely some exemptions to this 2 URL rule. 44.2% of searches contain 2 URLs from the same domain, and that's up by less than 1%. And 52.3% of searches return unique domains for all page 1 positions. So 10 completely different results from different websites. This update really has only hit those biggest players. It's a small subset of people, but the impact that it could have goes broader than that, because by pushing out or limiting the scope of some of the giants, we're creating more space for sort of small and medium players to get into page one rankings. And it could kind of be a canary in the coal mine for signaling some changes to come from Google in limiting the opportunities that some people that they might consider threats have in the organic space, or pushing them to invest more in paid as well. And it's really kind of letting those smaller merchants have a chance to perform well in organic. We know that some big players like Amazon have pretty sophisticated search functionality in their own websites. And as Amazon had been kind of increasingly dominating search results, it was harder and harder for their merchants to get traction with their own organic rankings. And we've seen similar things in other industries where there was big giants at play. More and more, we're seeing people kind of look at Amazon SEO and trying to optimize for Amazon search because they just couldn't get any traction going in Google. So the diversity update is really letting those merchants kind of come back, giving them a bit more opportunity to rank for some of these keywords. And it might be a move from Google to bring people back into their ecosystem and away from some of those competitors. The next thing I'm going to talk about is more of a prediction for 2020, and it really kind of builds on some of what we've seen in 2019 with the diversity update and other changes. And that is that the line between editorial and transactional content is going to become more blurred. So because there's these opportunities to rank for keywords that were once dominated by the giants, brands and smaller retailers are going to need to shift their focus from transactional to editorial content. So how can you gain more SERP real estate in 2020? Firstly, I think we need to ask, do you really need that SERP real estate? Is the content that you want to rank on page one really relevant to the user? How many people really need more than 3 URLs ranking on page one for the same keyword? Are you confusing people by offering them too many options? Are you going to be impacting your bounce rate if you bring people to content that's not relevant? Or you confuse people by offering them too many pages and with no clear intent for any of them. As long as you are providing content that's relevant to what people are looking for, then you can target as much SERP real estate as you possibly can. And the way to do that is really through some of these rich SERP features that we've seen come out in recent years as well. So the diversity update does not include other search features, and that includes top stories, video snippets, image carousels. People also ask questions. And that's really where we see the biggest opportunity, not just for smaller retailers to try and get in there, but also for anyone who had lost, potentially a third or more URL ranking with the diversity update. If you want to gain back some of that space, then these SERP features are really going to be the way to do that. And the way to do that is definitely going to be with content. So, I've said here, content is king, again, because how long have we been hearing this? I know a lot of people are fatigued about hearing that content is king. In e-commerce in particular, a lot of people have tried. They have tried and they have often failed to utilize long form content. And a lot of that is because the content was siloed. It was hosted on a subdomain or on a completely different blog. It was on a Tumblr blog or, a new magazine website. And we didn't have a clear user path. And that was making it really difficult to get ROI and to prove that ROI as well. But with the diversity update and various other changes that we're going to look at, content really needs to come back into the forefront of e-commerce SEO strategy if you want to compete in 2020. There's just no point in creating a piece of content if there isn't a user path after that content. We don't want to bring people into your website and have them bounce. We want them to convert. So we have an example here of a retailer that's doing this quite well. And this is a search for bolo tie. If you're not kind of a Western aficionado, bolo tie is a pretty popular search term. It's got about 37,000 monthly searches in the US. And this is quite a competitive term as well. So there's a bit of presumed intent to buy with this term because it's a clothing accessory. But you can see kind of in our SERP results here that we have a lot of different kinds of results. We have a people also ask, we have image search, we have videos, we have shopping, as well as kind of traditional e-commerce links as well. And in this example, we're going to be looking at a brand that wins the very first result that is text-based, which is a people also ask question. And this is a rich SERP feature. And the very first question is, are bolo ties formal? And the brand that wins here is called Pinto Ranch. And now Pinto Ranch is probably not a name that you're familiar with. This is a pretty small retailer here, and it is technically winning kind of position 0 or the first spot on this page, the first text spot. We had a few images above it. And we're going to look at how they've won this spot. So Pinto Ranch has put together this nice blog post or article, how to wear a bolo tie. And it's nothing that sophisticated. You know, we have some nice text here and some images as well. And we've covered some of the topics that are most closely associated with this term. So, you know, we've got kind of the traditional bolo tie, the unconventional bolo tie, how to wear your bolo tie, etc. And this has helped them to win that featured snippet because they've clearly asked and answered the question that people also ask result poses. And what's interesting is that they are not ranking that well for the term bolo tie. They're actually on page 2, they're in position 18. They don't even rank well, that well for, you know, is a bolo tie formal, which is the question they win. They're in position 3 for that, but they win the people also ask question, and that pivots them right up to position number 1, technically, on a pretty high volume search term. And this puts them above Amazon, it puts them above Wikipedia, it puts them above YouTube, it puts them above WikiHow on that result. So they are a small retailer here really punching above their weight against these giants in the search term. And the content here is pretty in-depth. It's covering the topic clearly, but what's more important is that there's a clear path to purchase here. So just on the bottom right there, you can see you have the option to shop directly in this blog post. You can add to cart right here. That means we're not going to have drop off from this page. There isn't a complicated user journey. This article is hosted on their main website. We're not off on a subdomain or a different website. It's really easy to convert from this. And so with this piece of content, they have really successfully covered both intent to buy and intent for information. And that's really the way that we'll be looking to go, I think, to get more SERP real estate in the future, especially in the e-commerce space. So what can you do if this is a strategy that you want to go forward with in 2020? Firstly, we need to be conscious of only creating content that is really relevant to your users. We don't want to bring people in on irrelevant search terms and then have them bounce. Remember that we want these people to convert. We need to make it our goal to have the best content available for your topic, because a lot of people are going to be going after this strategy. It's going to get more competitive, and you need to invest in really good quality content that's in depth on your topic or on a subset of your topic as well. And make sure that that content has got a clear user path and those next steps, whether it's a transaction like a purchase for a retailer, or, a next step to download, a piece of content or to sign up for something. Just make sure that that, next step is very clear in your content. And avoid siloing that content away from your key converting pages. We don't want to have too many clicks between a blog post and the checkout. Make it as easy as possible for people if you do want to be able to prove that ROI so that you can invest more in content in the future. And that's everything for me today. If you have questions about this section of the webinar, just put them on Twitter, use the hashtag TSA Talk. And we'll come back to those questions at the end of the webinar.
Thanks so much, Amanda.